you're a third-rate grader with a fourth-rate slab. Today we are talking about the avalanche of new grading companies popping up every single day. Now I want to start off by making this very clear that I like new grading companies existing. I think it's very useful that there's plenty of competition out there giving both PSA, BGS, SGC, CGC a run for their money to further incentivize that they improve their services in whatever way possible. Generally, competition leads to better service and so forth. So this particular video isn't about whether you prefer, oh, I prefer PSA and PSA is the best, or oh, I prefer BGS and BGS is the best, or oh, there's this other grading company that I really like. This is not about that whatsoever. And if you like the way a particular slab looks and so you want to grade with any company for that reason, go right ahead. You know, if that is just how you want to collect, go ahead. It might just be the easiest way to get your card encased in something plastic and something tangible. And if it's therefore for personal collection, you know, have fun. I'm not about to tell anyone how they need to collect. However, we do need to talk about this because there's quite a few people who are getting wrong expectations from this avalanche of new grading companies. To get you caught up to speed, when the whole pandemic started, you had a massive card grading craze, and so every single graded card shot up in value like crazy. A lot of people got more in touch with their hobbies, picked up new hobbies, and so therefore you just had a bunch of demand and a bunch of extra money because, well, you could no longer spend it on vacations and festivals and all of that good stuff. So loads of graded card hype and so forth led to PSA getting completely backed up to a point where they were no longer accepting any submissions, and then they started gradually opening up certain levels again, but even now the cheapest level is like $200, so they're not there yet either. BGS then also closed, CGC turnaround times are getting longer and longer. That obviously created room for new companies to pop up and say, hey, we will grade your cards and we can still accept submissions because we're simply that great. Or rather, we don't have any demand and so we can accept submissions because we don't have any. Because that is actually what's going on, right? It's not that these new companies are necessarily so much better than PSA. It's simply that they don't have millions of customers and so they have time on their hands. They are brand new, they're probably smaller teams usually with very little funding, and so you just have new ones pop up every single day. And they always have like 3 letters in their name. CGC, AGC, KSA, STD. If you have a 3-letter name, boom, you are a grading company. And once again, I'm not talking about specific ones because I'm not familiar with every single one. But here's the deal. A lot of these will vanish. This is simply the new hype. And whenever you have a new business hype cycle, you see businesses within that sphere pop up everywhere. You know, a few months ago, suddenly every business was a crypto business. Last year, suddenly every business was a electric vehicle or solar business. Right now, everything is a grading business. In the dot-com bubble, everything was a website. And so a few will probably survive and might become actual brand names, but a lot of them will vanish. And what will happen then to the cards they graded? Well, their grade will simply no longer have any value. Because it's extremely important to understand that a grade doesn't have value just because of the number. You know, you can have a grading company that gives everything 10s, or maybe is so strict that almost nothing gets 10s, but that by itself doesn't add any premium. It's the fact that that company is trusted by millions of people across the globe that then means, hey, we can trust this company because other people trust this company, and so I am able to sell my cards at a premium because those people trust this company. This is not the case with 99.9% of new grading companies. And so now every single country has 10 new grading companies every week, but it doesn't really mean much. It's mostly them putting a number on something and putting it in a piece of plastic and, you know, we're a grading company. And if it's just for preservation, awesome, you know, just enjoy collecting how you enjoy collecting. But be very aware that when it comes to premiums, when it comes to the investability, when it comes to the value appreciation that some people are looking for on their cards, these new companies don't have it yet. It's possible that some of them will flourish and maybe become a big contender for BGS or PSA, and in that case they might add a premium at some point. But right now, there isn't much of a premium. And if there is one, and for some there is, it's also very possible that that premium vanishes as that brand just gets lost in a sea of all these new grading companies. It's also not particularly hard to start a grading company. And this is again not trying to spread any flack or anything like that. Starting any company is hard, but the service that you're providing isn't that complex. It is relatively easy to replicate, as we see with all of these new ones popping up. It's the survival, and keeping the business alive through tougher times when maybe this massive craze goes away, that it becomes actually hard to run this kind of business and to keep it afloat and so forth. I've also started noticing that a lot of these companies use virtually the same slabs, but just with different labels. And now this is not the case for all of them, so, always do your own research, compare, check out how much of a history certain companies have. But I noticed this because I've cracked open fake slabs before and looked at these and was like, wow, this is clearly fake. But then I see some of these new companies and I'm like, wait, that is the exact same plastic as that fake slab. That's interesting. Are they using like white label slabs? Can you go to AliExpress or some Chinese distributor that just, gives you thousands of these slabs for free and then you just have to print your own label? Is it something like that? I don't know. I really haven't looked into that much, but again, that's also a possibility. If your plastic is, just white labeled from somewhere else and anyone else can have that plastic, then how could you ever have a premium when anyone else could just fake your label and put your card in the slab and boom. I also often see the sentiment that, hey, PSA is, they're just in it for the money, they're being so greedy and blah, blah, blah. But why would small companies be any different? I mean, don't you feel it's odd that during the greatest boom of graded cards ever, all of these companies suddenly popped up? That's also a question you gotta ask yourself. What are their motives for starting only now? And once again, I'm sure some of these just have a massive passion and they will probably be fine. But so when you're sending in your cards to these companies, just be aware, it is very, very likely that 99% of them will vanish and that they will not add a premium in the long term whatsoever. PSA and BGS and SGC in sports and CGC more so in comic books, but gradually now also in Pokemon. I know they do more than Pokemon, but they barely have a name beyond Pokemon. For cards, that is, they're very big in other aspects. These have long-standing histories, and those histories add that premium. And so if your brand doesn't have that right now, you can grade with whatever you want, with STD, or whatever three-letter word, but the premium isn't there. And if it is there, it's probably gonna be gone once the craze is over. I'm very excited for the ones that will survive, by the way. Once again, more competition. PSA needs to maybe watch out. They're like, oh damn, this company over there is using some interesting AI stuff or some interesting robotics or whatever they're doing, right? Damn, we should probably hire some R&D to figure out how to do that as well, because maybe they'll take market share. So I'm very excited for that. But if you are currently sitting on a collection, I mean, that is also what sparked this, by the way. A viewer of the channel sent me a message today, and it's one of the so many, because I've seen these questions so much. It's like, oh, should I send in my cards to insert random company that I've never heard of? I'm like, if you like the slab, sure, but as a grader, as a value add, it isn't there yet whatsoever. Just know that, if you're trying to go for that appreciation, it's PSA, BGS or bust in Yu-Gi-Oh! And even BGS doesn't tend to get as much of a premium as PSA. Unless, of course, oh, I get the BGS 10 because I won the lottery. I mean, yeah, but in general, PSA wins in Yu-Gi-Oh! It just is what it is. So yeah, that was this little talk. Overall, again, I'm excited to see who ends up surviving, but just be aware, if you're sending your cards to smaller graders with no history, you are taking on somewhat of a risk. Again, you can always crack them out later, send them to others if these companies end up vanishing, but that's still your time and your money that you're tying up in something slightly more risky. Hope you found it interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.